You're in your own fucking little world. I have to mute.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Laura. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I started at 5 a.m. this morning, so next up.
All right. Ready to roll. There's so much power in the mornings. I love it. We're coming right up on 9 o'clock, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the all-new and improved Breakfast Club, which we are now known as the Tuesday Notary Titans. And guys, we got a little bit of background noise, so I'm just going to mute everybody again. If you've got stuff going on in the background, just keep yourself muted. Laura, I'm going to unmute you. There you go. And then get my train of thought back. All right, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for January 8th. It is now 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I think that makes it 11 a.m. on the East Coast. We're very excited to bring the all-new Tuesday Notary Titans for you. We're going to have a very similar format for you. Guys, I'm sorry. I just have to mute everybody again. I'm sorry. Somebody keeps on muting themselves, and it's very distracting. So I'm going to try to keep that managed. As we get started today, I just want to make sure that Carol Ray is on. Is Carol on? Carol?
Myself, yes, I am. Goodbye.
Right. How are you? All right. So let's introduce our host today. Carol, you're muted again, just so you know, but Carol Ray is the founder of Notary2Pro. Carol, welcome. What's new and exciting for you? I'll unmute you. Oh, there you go.
I'm still excited really about the same thing. This year is going to be fantastic. I don't care what changes are being made with the notaries and people are afraid of things and everything. This is an exciting year. I'm watching notaries all over changing how they do things, looking for more education, depending on the people that know what they're doing for advice, and adding to the things that they normally wouldn't even think of doing for their businesses. So, I've said this before, the last few years I've noticed most of the students that I have coming in are people that are in their late 40s, definitely in their 50s, and in their 60s. People are finding a new way to get into their senior years and get through their senior years. And it's when I talk to my students and they're like, oh, I heard about this and I want to do this. And that excites me.
Yeah, I love that. And I thank you for sharing that. I'm experiencing much of the same thing. I think I personally have a lot of optimism for 2019. It's feeling like it's really good. I've set some big goals for myself. And then also, you know, I think you and I are in the same boat. And Laura, I know you get to talk to so many thriving notaries and signing agents that are killing it out there. And sometimes we don't always get to hear their stories, but it's such an inspiration whenever we do. Laura, what's new and exciting? Oh, hold on, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm living the dream. You know, I think that when we follow the dream and not the money, it changes our whole perspective and it increases our success. And ultimately, you know, all of that follows. And so to be not just identifying what the dream is, but to be living that dream, to know that every day I can get up and I can do what it is I want. And there aren't the limitations that others might impose. And I'm not too old, I'm not too remote, I'm not too anything to achieve what I want. And this program, along with Symposium, along with my coaching business, all of those are indications that I've moved in the direction I want to go. And that is to get my message out and help other people. And I'm doing it.
Awesome. It's such a great feeling, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I've been talking about this business for years. It's been a life-changing business for mine. Even, even the signings and the people I get to meet, it is life-changing. I used to pinch myself just being able to do this, make a very comfortable living and still be of service to others. And now the teaching component, being a part of this with the two of you, has added a whole new element to my life as well. So I'm excited about that as well. And then also for me personally, I'm real excited because finally after, man, it's been months in production, but the reverse mortgage training and the annual certification test, we just got the final approval from those, we had presidents of signing or title companies reviewing that and participating with, and we finally got it okayed and ready to go. So we're going to be releasing that this week. And Carol,
Oh, yeah.
I know. So I would love to be able to work with Carol and the graduates from Notary2Pro and Laura, any amazing signing agents that are in your network. I'd love to just get them access to this so we can start fulfilling some of these orders across the country. Speaking of which, guys, I just got to take a moment real quick. I am looking for an amazing referral for a signing agent in Medford, Oregon. I have a reverse mortgage coming up on the 10th. So if you know someone or if you are available to take it, please email me at orders@notarycoach.com. All right, let's jump in here and get down to the meat of the call and why we're all here. And that is to talk about, so we've had a couple of great questions submitted, but I want to keep with our tradition that we had going on there, where we ask those who are live on this call with us right now, what kind of questions, concerns, challenges, victories that you have that you'd like to share or ask us about. Is there anybody that would just like to unmute and ask? Feel free to do that or just type it into the chat room.
I see a lot of comments, but I don't see anything yet.
Yeah, no questions yet. That's wonderful. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to dive into the PowerPoint here real quick. Let me just make sure it's pretty. All right.
Hey, Bill?
Yeah.
Hey, I noticed you were doing a goal planning session in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Is there any way to do some kind of online version of that?
Great question. Yeah, this is the time to do it, right? Yes, we could do that. Let me just write it down here in my notes, guys. Yeah, goal planning, and actually, even in office hours, I'm going to start talking about the power and importance of having that vision statement, which all kind of feeds into it. But we could do an online goal planning session. Also, even a review of what 2018, some of the lessons that you may have learned from 2018 and how that might translate into some of your 2019 goals. So absolutely, I'll put something together for that. I'd be happy to share it with everybody.
Awesome.
All right. Question is, do we have to renew our certified signer certification, or is that not needed to be renewed ever? Great question, Ronnie. Carol, you want to take that one?
I really would like to take that one. I had a decision to make a couple of years ago because when the NNA came out and the CFPB and all these people who said SBW said you needed to be recertified. It really went against everything I believe and who I am, because I feel that if you are really properly trained and you know what you're doing, it's just more money out of your pocket to have to do this. And I was like, well, do I want to do that and get rich or do I not? And I made an announcement, a public announcement, that any of my graduates, there is no requirement, there is no need, because I feel that when they're trained by people like you and Laura and myself who really are dedicated to what we do, they're only going to get better with time and experience. So what's the necessity for it? Unless they're out of the business for a while. And then they can come back and we give them a break to, you know, do renew it or update it or whatever they want. But no, I don't feel that it's, I mean, you guys might disagree with me, Laura, you may. I know you're about education, you know, every day, all the time. But I just don't feel that it's fair. I don't agree with it.
I totally get the sentiments for sure. Then I think, though, if we want to talk to new signing agents, there's a certain requirement, though, right, Carol, Laura?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't even know how legal it is. Laura can talk about how legal it is, but I can just tell you that you're not going to get jobs with title companies, bona fide signing services and things unless you're certified. Yeah. That's just the way it is. It wasn't that way years ago. My certification was not that important. It really wasn't. It is now because companies are hiring you based on your certification.
So Laura, what do you think?
So I'd just like to add, because of course I was in the day too, when people taught the class, she said, yeah, I'm certified, and it really didn't mean a whole lot because there was no requirement to it. And today legally, there is no requirement by law that says you have to have a certification and background check. That is really become more of an industry-driven situation. And so for us to continue to get the opportunities and the jobs, if we want those, then we need to play the game. And the game is that you do the training in the beginning. That part's not the game. That part is you need to be knowledgeable about what you're doing. Then the recertification part with the NNA I can speak to isn't retaking the training, it's retesting and background screening. That's what that's about. And if you want to participate in this process of loan signing work, then you need to participate in this process. Is it legally required? No. But can lenders say, yes, I want it? Absolutely. They're the customer.
Yeah. I call it table stakes. If you want to get in on this game, then that's like the ante up. You're going to have to get your certification every year. So just budget $65, of course. May or may not be tax deductible depending on your tax advisor, because I'm not one. But just plan on doing that with the criminal background check. That is important, guys, the criminal background check. So if all you did was look at it as I'm paying $65 to get my annual criminal background check, that's fine. Whatever you got to do in your head, because that is going to be critically important. And you do want to make sure of that. And I, as a signing company, love that I can go to a database where I just know everybody's criminally background checked too, because that would be a nightmare to have to manage. Great question. Any, Carol, Laura, are you tracking any others in there? Oh, I got one from Robin here. I have jury duty coming up. How do I handle the uncertainty of my schedule with signing services? Laura, do you want to take that one?
That is such a great question because there's other things that are similar to this. Vacation, other reasons why I'm just not available. And that's why I have colleagues. I have notary colleagues that I can share that workload with. And I can get refer that work to somebody else who I personally know. I know they're qualified. And that way my client, the signing company, and I do have to say, I'm not a cattle call girl. The signing companies I work for know who I am. And so if I say, look, I'm not available right now, let me give you so-and-so. One, they take my referrals. So that says something there. And two, they still come back to me. So I'm taking care of them. And then the next time when they need me again, they don't say, oh, she couldn't help me last time. I went to so-and-so, I'll go there. They actually come back to me because they see me as a resource, not just as a signing agent for them.
Yeah.
And so I think the best way to handle that is to make plans on how can you assist that signing company calling you with hooking up with somebody who can serve them.
Excellent. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that being a resource is sometimes worth more than actually doing the signing, because it can be stressful trying to find somebody in certain areas at certain times to take care of this. And it's time consuming because, one of my chief complaints is that notaries don't answer their phones. So sometimes, I'm going down the list. I can't find anybody to answer their phone, take the signing. I get Laura on the phone and she says, I'm not available, but you can call this person. I love those types of situations. Awesome. Let's see. Excellent. Heather has a pretty in-depth question as well here. Let me read this because the people who will watch the replay, they can't see the chat window. So I'm going to read it. It says, I'd like to ask what everyone on the call says or does to demonstrate to escrow officers the value of using a mobile signing agent. or the value of creating a relationship with a signing agent. Basically, what do you say or do to sell yourself to an escrow officer? Carol, you want to start us off on that one?
Yeah, although you're probably the better one than I am, but I think basically you've got to start with the relationship. You can't just walk in there and say, I'm great, I do this, I'll do. Every mobile notary will, oh, I've got a bad problem here. I'm sorry, I put my lines on hold so the phone won't ring, and now it's beeping. But I think that if you go into an office, and I always advise my students when you go in, you want to go straight to the escrow manager. Introduce yourself, let them know that you're in the area, these are your certifications, this is who you are. Just kind of plant that, let them know that you're there and who you are, and then I gotta hang these up, and then follow up with them. You don't necessarily need to bring gifts and things like that, but you can talk about the fact that you are mobile, that you can handle last minute signings, that you're willing to come into their office and sit for whatever time they require and do a number of signings. This is something that a lot of them use, especially if they have builders that they work with. They close out so many properties at one time that it helps a lot to have someone who's willing to come into the office, sit for hours, and do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 signings. I used to do that. I got paid $60 a signing. I was thrilled with that. I could sit there and do, 7 or 8 signings in a day. That was a great day's work. And you start just building these relationships. That's what I say all the time. Relationships are everything. And Bill, you said it. Don't go in there and just sell yourself. Talk about why you want to work with them. That you know that you've heard that they're a great company. You've heard other notaries talk about them, and that you really would like to have that relationship.
Yeah.
Carol, I have a question follow-up for Carol.
Yeah, great.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, guys. I have bad lighting, so that's why I look like a ghost with hair. So what do you, I understand that. I mean, like in certain states, that approach totally works. Like in California, I know it's, direct closings are like the best, and I wish I was there. But what do you say to those that are in states like mine, like Illinois, where it's not that easy just to walk in and say, you can always walk in and introduce yourself, but the chances of getting work from them are very slim since they usually use their own people.
And I agree with that. It's not only, this isn't California where you just walk into an escrow office. You've got so many signing agents. There is so much competition no matter where you go, that it is not easy. But I think it's really important that you present yourself in a way that is friendly and open, and you let them know that you've heard a lot about them and that you're anxious to provide services to them. Let them know that you're willing to, to travel if you have last minute people can't come in, and all of the normal things that you would say. But I think that's to step lightly. I think probably of the three of, I don't know, I don't want to discount Laura, but I think Bill probably is better at this than I ever was. I know what I advise my students, and for some of them it works. And it's funny because sometimes they just luck out. Something happens. I've had some of my students who start off with no contacts, nothing, just like everyone else, and they'll just happen into a situation that they do something special for a title company or an escrow company, and all of a sudden they're getting all their work. So it's, and I'm going to tell a real quick story. I've told this one before, I think, but I'm going to make it quick. I had a company that I was doing signings for. They called me one day, title company called them and said that I did not get the grant deed back. And I'm like, oh no, that can't be, not a grant deed. I looked through the documents, which I advise my students always keep on a flash drive and keep them for at least a month after you get paid. And this is the situation here. I looked through my documents and guess what? No grant deed. So I called the people and I said, they didn't send it. Do you have your copies of the documents? Yes, I do. No, they didn't send it. Well, this company was working with the first title company, the first time with this title company. They were scared. They didn't want to lose this business. This was a big deal for them. My husband and I told him, send us the grant deed. These people were on vacation. They were 120 miles away from where we lived at Alamo Lakeville out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we took that grant deed the next day. We didn't have any signings. We took that grant deed. We drove 240 miles round trip. Okay. And we got that grant. We found the people at the campground. We got it signed. We sent it back. And that company has gotten to be a very large signing service. They not only hire our graduates all the time, but they send me graduates all the time. They became and they became so loyal. I don't think they would ever have hired anybody else. It's getting that chance to do something extra, showing that you care. I think that's important. So
yes, I agree, Carol, and that's a great demonstration of how you can be a hero to your client.
Morning.
You know, I disagree with calling it lucked out, because I think while the luck certainly plays a role in it, but when you're taking action, that's what this comes down to. The reason that I advocate that we talk to so many people, the reason that we advocate that you have a database, that you do the research, that you make the calls, that you show up, however you do it, is to increase the chances that you're going to have that intersection between the people and the opportunities that are going to change your business forever. So real quick, when it comes to relationships,
Right.
every market is different. There's no arguing that, but there's no market that is better than another. Sure, California is great because their housing market's booming, the values are high, their general notary fees are high. You know, it seems like a dream. But there are people all over the country that are building successful businesses without having to be in California. And you know, I'm not a huge advocate of just popping in on escrow officers. You know, I've never have been, but I am a huge advocate. So whether you choose to pop in, phone call, email, whatever it is, slow down and do some research first. Don't broadcast. Everybody just wants to send 1,000 emails and keep their fingers crossed and just wait for the phone calls to come pouring in. It's not going to happen. Those are the people who are on the forums complaining about how there's no business. That's not real. Building relationships is real. You don't need 100 clients. You need 4 or 5 really good ones to really perform at this business. And if you put in the front end work, find out who it is that you want to work with, research them, find out why you want to work with them. Just having volume isn't always enough. You want to find ways that you connect with people on a deeper level. Maybe they have the same philosophies about giving or charity work or spiritual work. Organizations, they're getting promotions, they're studying personal development, they're getting awards. Those types of things you can find on social media. And it allows you to craft the perfect email that will cut through the clutter and connect with them on a deeper level than everybody else who just keeps sending them email after email after email about how great their notary services are. You're going to send them a message that says, I think you're great.
Right.
That's how I would cut through all of that. And in Illinois specifically, like if you're anywhere near a metropolitan area, Carrie, that place is booming too. You guys have so much opportunity there. And it's one of the highest paid office sits that any of my students are getting. You're getting $100 a signing for just sitting in an office with no printing and no mileage. They want you
Where?
to come to their title office in Illinois. I know, it blew my mind. I'm like, I'm moving to Chicago now.
I'm in Chicago. I've not, and I've been in this business for like 12 years as an NSA. And when I first started out, I did that. I went to companies. Actually, one of my first offices was around the corner from a title company.
Nice.
And I went in and I was like, business attire, business cards in hand, smile. Oh no, we have our own in-house, you know, and I didn't, you know, get disappointed or anything. I left my business cards. They gladly took them. And I think I was at that location for 5 years. I still didn't hear a word from them, but every year I'd go in with a gift and some cards and show my face to let them know I was still there.
Great.
But me and you are going to have to talk because I need to find out
Yeah.
what companies do you know that I don't?
Yeah, set up a call with me. Please do. On my web at notarycoach.com, you can schedule a call with me. I'm happy to talk about it. Laura, did you have anything you want to pop in there too in relationship?
I kind of follow your path, which is I check social media a lot, and I look for those anniversaries. I look for opportunities to be able to kind of insert myself by saying, hey, I noticed this about you. And it's all about them. The other thing that I do is if I can offer any of the skill sets that I have besides being a signing agent, that again would be a way to help them. So just as I do it in hospital settings where I offer training, if they need any refreshment training for their in-house notaries to be current on the law, that's something I do. That's my skill set. I'm an instructor. I'm current on the law. I have resources for all 50 states. It doesn't matter. Thank goodness. It's just California I have to worry about for local going in physically. And I go in and say, give me 60 minutes and I'll make sure they're up to date on everything. So I didn't ask for any work. All I did was try to offer another service that might be beneficial to them within the scope of how they do their business today.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Carol, interestingly enough, had kind of made the perfect segue into what your topic is, Laura. She mentioned the presentation of yourself and your services. Would you like to kind of go into what your thoughts are on that?
I'm sorry, was that directed to me or to Carol?
That was to you, to your presentation about self-presentation today.
So, I don't know why I'm not quite sure what you're asking me here.
Oh, well.
Can I go in?
What's that?
I didn't, could you rephrase what you asked me?
Rephrase the question, please.
Yes.
Today you have a presentation for us, and I believe you are going to be talking about presentation, notaries, and how they interact with the...
Oh, that's right. Thank you very much for reminding me.
You're very welcome.
I have a story that will illustrate it, but my point is that we are never off. We're always on. When we're at Starbucks, when we're at the bank, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. We're self-employed people. We don't know who's standing in line behind us, next to us, who's getting that coffee at the next table, who's having dinner in the next booth. And so we need to continually present ourselves professionally. And so that means that if I'm with my girlfriend or colleague talking about such and such a company, I need to be careful about being in a public space and sharing negativity, about being in public space and not presenting myself as professional. And I've had many jobs come my way, not at the moment, but later. And the reason when I ask, well, why did you call me? Why did you ask me? Oh, you were at Starbucks and maybe you didn't notice, but blah, 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 blah. But they noticed me. And most recently, the last day of the year, I was having, actually, that's when the job came. It was a week before. I was having coffee with a colleague and we were discussing how to deal with some tough situations. And I was making suggestions about that. And it was all notary related. And as another consumer stood up to leave the Starbucks, she stopped at our table and said, I just happened to catch bits and pieces of your conversation. And I think you guys are notaries, aren't you? Mobile notaries. And we both said, yes, we are. And she said, could I have your cards? Of course, I had my card right there handy to go. I handed it to her. My colleague, unfortunately, did not. So she walks out. A few days later, I get a call from this person saying, look, are you available this Saturday, which was just towards the end of the year? Would you be willing to drive out to Stockton and take care of 2 signatures for me? And here's the details about some special requirements or non-disclosure agreements, blah, blah, blah. And I said, sure, I'll take care of it. I quoted her a price. And so we're good. I go and I take care of it. Or actually, before I get there, she calls me back to give me some more information. And I said, by the way, I know how you found me. We met at the Starbucks, but there were 2 of us there. Why did you happen to choose me? And she said, it was what I heard you say. It's how you were trying to present a suggested way to handle a tough situation. And it was so professional that I felt that if something came up while you were there, that you would handle it in a professional manner. And not only when I was done did I get paid on the spot, but she gave me an additional $50 tip on top of the quoted price. So it was just good all the way around. And the thing is, that's not a one-time thing for me. That happens frequently. And I think it happens because people see us all the time, even when we don't realize that people see us. We're not as invisible, as we think. And I want people to think about when you're standing in line and you're listening, you're peeking in on the next conversation. It's kind of hard not to when they're standing in line next to you at the bank or at Starbucks or wherever. What are you thinking about that person who's sharing whatever it is and the way that they're sharing it? We need to consider that. And that person could have been a title person or an escrow person in line at Starbucks. I don't know that, right? I go into Wells Fargo and I have banks then work to me because they know me and they know I'm a good resource for them. And they'll say, this is a little too complicated. Really, we'd like to know if you would be willing to work with so-and-so. And I've actually driven into Wells Fargo and taken care of their customer right there, given up my fee to just help them out. And so it works.
It totally works. And I'm so glad that you said that, because you never know who is watching or listening or whatever it is. And whether we like it or not, people do make judgment calls. And when we're in business, we have to decide, are we more interested in just being ourselves and dropping the F-bomb or whatever we want to do in public, wearing sweatpants with holes in them, whatever it is while we're talking business, or are we more interested in growing ourselves in our business? That's the choice that you have to make. And to your point exactly, is there is no difference between like Laura Biewer in the individual and Laura Biewer, the notary public, the business of that. People are relating to Laura or to you as an individual or to me whenever we're doing business. There's no separation. So you can't be one person over here and a different person over here. If you don't already, start blending into that. That's living in authenticity. That will make or break your business as a mobile notary and loan signing agent. Really.
And I'm sorry, Bill, that also follows over into our social media life. Because I think people don't realize that the world sees our picture, they see what we post, and they see what we say and how we say it. And, once it's out there, you can't take it back. So that's even a bigger space, public space, than the physical public space.
Very, very much so. And that applies specifically, like if we want to just rein it right into this business, on the online notary forums. It's a great place to teach, to learn, to be kind to one another and support each other. I actually make judgment calls, guys. I own a signing company. And whenever I see the way people interact, I decide right then and there if that's a person I would want to work with or that's not a person I would want to work with. And this, I have 4 pillars of relationship building that I talk about. I wrote an article on LinkedIn, and I'm going to talk about them because it ties right into this. Because you can be competent, you can be confident, you can have integrity, but if you don't have the likability factor, if you are abrasive, if you're rude, if you just present yourself like you don't care, none of that is going to matter. You can't just be really good at the notary law and terrible at relationships. You've got to give it all. You've got to care about the people that you're doing business with, and they need to feel that in order to succeed at this. Now that really that ties in perfectly with what I want to talk about today as well. So I'm going to merge right into that, and then we're going to take some more questions. Where I wanted to take Laura's presentation was the tone of communication. And I'm talking about the emails that you send out, the way you answer your phone, the way you call other people maybe, or just have conversations with the schedulers that call you, the assistants, course providers and trainers like Carol, Laura, myself, or any course provider that you have, your neighbors, waiters, literally anybody. The one thing that it kind of slips away in communication these days is the warmth and the time that it takes to build a connection with somebody. I can't tell you how many emails, I thoughtfully create emails and I send them out, and sure, they go out to thousands of people, but I'm there on the other end receiving those. So the replies that I get sometimes just blow my mind. Most of them are totally awesome. You guys are great. But every now and then you get those just no warmth, no communication at all. It's typos, misspellings, grammar. It's yelling about the time that I sent the email out. It's asking questions that are completely unrelated to the topic. It's asking about something else, or telling me something completely different, or complaining about something. There's no warmth or anything. And I talked to other signing company owners and some of the schedulers too, and I've heard some of the stories there. So what's important to take away from this, guys, is that we're all watching, we're all listening, and we're all communicating about this. I love when somebody spends a little extra time building up a little bit of warmth. Hey Bill, it's great to see you. I watch you on YouTube. I have this question for you. That took 10 seconds or less to type a little bit of warmth in there without just going to the dark side on that. So just know that all of that makes a difference. I make decisions based on who I want to work with, based on the extra level of warmth. Also, the phone calls, your voicemail. I know we've talked about voicemail a lot, but I still, like I said, I'm robo-dialing sometimes trying to find signing agents. And the voicemails, I question whether or not they're still in business, because it's either automated or it's so vague. It's definitely not professional. Let's just say that. So you want to upgrade your voicemail experience. When I was in all-out sales, like in travel sales, I would change my voicemail every single day. So I would tell them what day it was. I would say, hey, I'm probably on the other phone with a client. I'll be with you shortly, or whatever it is, or I'll send me a text message, whatever it is. That's kind of going above and beyond. But in the meantime, find a way to express that you are interested in getting business, that you might call them back a little quickly, and use a friendly tone when you do it. Be aware of your tone. Last summer I did a resting bitch face webinar. I actually found an expert on RBF, because how your face shows up, people make judgments on that. Do I want to do business with this person who's frowny frownerson? You have to be aware of what's going on and what the impact is around you. And then the other thing is how you answer the phone. If you are a business and you do pick up the phone, please do not answer it, hello. Answer it with the name of your business, or I answer mine, this is Bill. Most people know who they're calling when they get me. If they don't, it's probably a sales call, so we don't need to chat anyway. So that's how I like to answer my phone. Start doing that. And even you can start doing that in your personal life too. Most of us know who's calling us. We get the notification right there. Jenny's calling. We still say, hello? Like, who is this? It's clearly Jenny. Answer, hey Jenny, how's it going? Get a little more efficient and friendly and warm in your interactions that way. All right, that's what I've got on that. Let's move on to a couple of questions here, because Neela has a great one here. Neela says, as she's filling out the applications or filling out the biographies on these directories, they're asking for her fees. What do you guys recommend, she put? Carol, you want to take that one?
You're gonna get me in trouble here. Okay, I get this all the time. It depends so much of where you live, and your whole situation, it can change. But the one thing I do recommend is that my students stay as far away from $30, $40, $50, $60 signings. We want them to make a minimum of $100 on a typical signing. They've paid for their education. They know what they're doing. They're good at what they're doing. We have a resource of a list of 123 companies that will hire our graduates without any experience at all. I tell them, do your homework. In fact, can this be a segue into something? I have a guest here today that I'd like to share something with you. Sure. As far as the fees are concerned, I have put together just a guide. It's just a guide that they can use to show them what some of these fees are. Like, they don't know what a piggyback is. So I want them to understand what a piggyback loan is and how they might charge for that. People have to do their research. I think that they need to go onto websites of notaries that are close to them and see what other notaries in their area are charging. It's just such an individual thing, but I do think that people need to understand that if they're taking these signings that are paying them $50 to drive 30 miles to print out 200 pages of documents, not making any money. You got to make money, or you're killing yourself. But can I bring this up? What I talked to you about this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a
Okay.
perfect time to talk about it.
One of the things that I think is so important is that when you are paying someone, such as myself, Bill, Laura, we love you guys, and we try so hard to give you good advice and give you good information. And it drives me, and I know everybody else, and my daughter, both of us, we're just like crazy when we give all this information and we do all of these things, and then we get somebody who says, well, I haven't had any signings, nobody's calling me. We'll say, well, have you worked the list? Have you done this? Have you done that? You got, a Notary Cafe and you're listed here. And they'll say, what list? And everything that we do is like, this is what you do. This is step 1, step 2. So yesterday I got a phone call from just a great gal, and I can see her. She allowed her camera on here. Her name is Nikki Boyd. And hi, Nikki. Good morning.
Hi, everyone.
She called me yesterday, and I remember when she first came to me. She graduated in, I think, the end of December 2016. So it's really, was it 16 or?
No,
yes.
17.
17, that's right, 17, because you've only been in it a year.
Yes.
And she called me, and I'm going to let her tell you what she told me yesterday. And it was because of one thing. It's because she listened and she executed. And that's the point I want to get across now. Just tell me what you said on the phone yesterday.
About the referrals first, or what?
Just about how successful, what you have accomplished this past year, how it's changed everything in your life. I'm very proud.
Okay. Hi, everyone. As Carol said, my name is Nikki Boyd. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm the CEO of Signed, Sealed, Delivered Mobile Notary Services. I took Carol's course I started in November during that holiday season, the end of November. And I religiously, before I even took her course, I read everything I could up on all of her YouTube videos, everything she had posted, I read that. Once I saw the information and I thought it would be beneficial to me, I took her course. Everything she said in her course, I took notes. I still have those notes today. I'll forever have them because they're a conference reference. Everything she said, I did. And one of the most things that I took from it was, she was like, always have your phone with you. I always have my phone with me. On one of her videos, which is my favorite, she was like in the shower and her phone was on the shelf and it rang and she answered it because, her business was important to her. So that was my most important thing that I took from her. And then all of the information, once I finished the course, which I believe I finished it in really a week because that's all I focused on. And once I finished the course, she gives you a referral of 120 companies. And although it was very long and, enduring, I signed up with every single company that would allow you to sign up. Some companies wasn't accepting notaries and some wasn't. And one of the things I did, she said, take a folder and put all of your credentials in there, your commission, your E&O, everything. So when I signed up, all I had to do was click on it and hit send and everything was there. So that was helpful. My first signing came December the 30th. That was my first signing. And then in February, I actually had, I think it was 10 signings. And then from there, it went on. The lowest month I had was December, I guess because of the holiday. That was only $882. My highest month, I'm looking, it was April. I made $4,546. I started doing the notary signing business to just be something to get some extra money, but it turned in more than extra for me. I averaged 10 signings a week. My goal at first was to just do 10. But then once I started doing 5 and 6 a day, so I just pushed myself. From being a notary signing agent, I was able to, I'm a single parent. I have a 17-year-old who's a senior. I was able to buy her a car. I was able to take my child to Europe for a week this year. We went to Chicago. We had 5 vacations that we went on, and we've constantly been traveling because of the business. Even when I was on the cruise, although, you know, you can't really talk on a cruise, but I had my laptop, and once we would get to land where we can talk, if an assignment came through, I accepted the assignment. When I knew I would be back, I called and, you know, made those calls. So I'm always thinking notary. I do look at the forums. I think the forums are great, but they also sometimes can be a hindrance, as Mr. Bill, as you said, because people constantly put the negative things or whatever. But I can eat, you know, the fish and spit out the bones. So I think the good thing, when you talk about the prices, what you charge, well, I learned what to, you know, value myself at. I looked at the comments of people and said, well, they charge this much for that, and they went and charged this much for that. And then I found a medium for myself, what I felt I was worth. So now I get people calling me all the time. And even the long assignments that are out of my way, a company paid me $200. Yes, it was an hour and something drive, but it was 5 minutes worth of work, a modification. I'll do those. And because I do those, now my name, when I call, they're like, hey, Nikki, would you take this? Hey, Nikki, we'll see your schedule's busy, but would you take this? And I do it. And I stated, I don't have a drought. That's not my story. But, I mean, it's just how you look at it. Is the glass half full, or is it, you know, empty? And I just, you know, I'm always polite.
Nikki? Oh, I'm sorry, Nikki, I know that there's other things that we need to cover, but I want to thank you so much. You know, you got me in tears because I love hearing this so much. But the point is, and I want people to really understand, that when you are paying experts to teach you, you need to listen to what they have to say, and you need to execute it and do it. Had you not listened, your story would be very different today, correct?
Right.
So thank you so much for coming and for...
Yeah. Nikki, thank you for sharing that story. You know, one thing I've noticed, you know, I've only had my Sign and Thrive course going for about 1.5 years now. But one thing I've noticed is that when people start taking off and they're hustling and they're making the money and their business is going, that's what they don't share those stories as much as sometimes we hear the stories of the struggle and the getting started. So I love hearing
you. All right. I'll do that more because I don't visit the forums that much because I'm always busy now. So you are right. I will do better.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, stay in touch for sure. And you just nailed a great point too. And we'll talk about the forums because we're kind of glancing over that today. But the people who are in this industry that are really thriving and they are earning the 6 figures, they're not the ones that are usually in the forums. So keep that in mind, just in the back of your head, that sometimes you might be getting some skewed perspective on there. Laura, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that at all? You're on mute. I'm sorry. Here you go. Oh, maybe not.
Okay, I'm demuted. All right. So I don't know what you can say after that story. The big takeaway here is execute. That's the word, really, is that she did what was given to her. She was given some tools and she used all of them. She didn't do one and then say, okay, where's all the results? Or say, oh, this is too big a list. I'll do 5. She went through all of it. And I think all of us, as we work with people to help them be successful, when I check back in and say, hey, did you write that profile? Hey, did you get this posted? Hey, did you do this or that? Well, I haven't quite gotten around to it yet. You know, those are the ones that are going to struggle.
Yes, that's so true. There's nothing more special about anybody else who's succeeding at this business. There's nothing more special about the market cities. The difference between success and failure in this or any other business is execution and commitment and persistence. It's people who take the knowledge and implement it. I share my story about that, guys. I struggled and spun my wheels my entire life until I was accumulating knowledge. I was taking courses. I had every certificate you can imagine. I went to the webinars. But until I put a system in place that put that knowledge into action, I would have just kept spinning my wheels. This business just happened to be the business I had when I figured that out, and it has taken off from there. Guys, I think it's time to just about wrap up. Do we have any last minute questions? Carol, Laura, did you catch any questions on the chat? that we should bring up now?
I have a question.
Oh, we got one. I think it's Nellie. Nellie, I was going to ask. Yeah, go right
Yes.
ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Bill. So before the holidays, I was going to all kinds of offices, real estate offices, escrow, convalescent homes. And just recently I got a call from a client that one of the convalescent homes had given him one of my business cards. And what I've done is take like mental notes from offices that have kind of responded positively to me and said, oh, this is exactly what we've been looking for. Thanks so much. And try to return to those when I go back to offices. So my question is, now that the holidays have passed, I want to go back to those offices and, visit them again. So what advice would you give to me or to anyone? Like what kind of pop-in should I do to those that responded positively to like just kind of remind them like, hey, still here, whatever you need, because I have been doing that. Excuse me if you can hear my daughter in the back. What kind of advice would you give? Because I have been doing that, but now since the holidays have passed, I do think that business is going to pick up more, and I do see that it worked because I do remember that convalescent home responded very positively when I dropped off my card. She was one of the people that said, oh, this is exactly what we need. And it took some time, maybe a month or so, but I did get a call and I made $100 for 15 minutes. So I just want to keep doing that. And I just don't know what kind of approach, because it has been the holidays. And like I said, I just want to know how to approach it.
Sure. Laura,
Well, I just want to say the approach is what we talked about earlier. Bring something that's of value to them. If you've already introduced yourself, go to the next level. The next level is what other things might they need. When we say I'm here, what is that? What do they need? And is there some way for me to help them get to it? Whether it's I provide it myself or I provide the connection so that I solve a problem for them. Because that's when I become more valuable and I become the resource, and then they want to use me when they need this kind of service.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's highly customized to the individual and the relationship. So it's really hard to just say there's a blanket way you do it, but you bring value. And the way that we can bring value is, well, there's lots of ways that we bring value, obviously, in what we do, but I encourage you to think bigger than that and think about the human being behind the name tag.
Right.
So there's somebody out there that is doing cool things, just like you're doing. You're cool. You're excited about some of the stuff you've got going on in their life. And just because they have a role or position at that company doesn't mean they don't have their own hopes and dreams. They're doing cool stuff. And if you can find a way to connect on that level, they're going to want to work with you because you get them.
Right.
Yes, I definitely understand that. I mean, they go and they do a job, so I know when I was working in an office, it'd be nice to receive like a little treat or something, but I don't want to buy their business, but I want to you want to be distracted sometimes when you're at work. So I don't know whether to show up with something, just like a trinket, to distract them from the humdrum day. I don't know if I should show up with something. What do you suggest I do? Or I don't know, like a small Starbucks gift card or a cup of coffee when I go again? Or
what I recommend you do is you trust your gut and go with what authentically is you. If it is in your nature to be a gift giver, or to think about something, maybe it could be something as quick and easy as pens, or don't make them salesy.
Yeah.
It's not always about selling.
No.
It's just being thoughtful. And it might be one of the things I did was gift certificates to like Spa Finder. I did one of those mobile car washes. I hired to go to a title company and wash all their cars. Some of that is a little higher ticket items, obviously, but
right.
when the volume matches that, it's okay. You got to do what's right for you, but you can get as creative as you want with this. And this is what's really exciting about it. You can trust your prompt. If something in the universe prompts you to do something, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, just like I said, I felt like the offices or the convalescent homes, everything that responded positively, I did get the right feeling from it, and I think I was right because I did get a call from one of them. So I just kind of want to remind the other ones that did, maybe they misplaced the card or whatever, you know, after the holidays. So I just kind of want to pop in again, and I wanted to ask your opinion.
Yeah.
about it.
When it comes to convalescent homes and nursing homes in particular, guys, a lot of them, some of them don't, but a lot of times they will crave volunteers. And we've got a couple up in Oregon and Washington that schedule like 3 hours on the first Saturday of the month, and they volunteer their notary services. So they just sit in the lobby, and whoever wants to come in and get something notarized, they can do it for free. That establishes a relationship with the staff. So they're the first notary that gets called for the rest of the month. So that's been really.
And you know, a lot of them, oh, I'm sorry, Bill. A lot of them told me that they didn't even know how to go about it. That surprised me. A lot of them said, I didn't even know how to go about it. Like, I've been looking for something like this. I didn't even know how to go to find one. So thank you. So that kind of surprised me too. So just FYI for people that have been thinking about going to convalescent homes to look for business.
There is so much opportunity out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nellie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you.
No, it's Carol. When I was an escrow manager, my customer base was primarily real estate agents. And during the summertime, I would take a big chest on wheels out to the real estate offices filled with ice cream cones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, 15 cents for ice cream cones, but I'd bring a whole chest full and walk into a real estate office and hand them out.
That's
I was there.
Never know what's going to work.
You really don't. You never know what it is. And guys, sometimes just those handwritten cards will do the trick. And that is probably the most inexpensive and the most efficient way to really connect with people and if you can customize the cards where you can include a picture of them or their pets or their car, whatever it is that you can tell that they're proud of, that stuff goes a long way. And that brings us right up on the 10 o'clock or the 9 o'clock or the noon hour, wherever you are. And we're going to wrap up here, guys, because I really respect your time. And I know on a Tuesday, it's time to get out and hustle for some business. Thank you all for spending so much of your Saturday growing yourself and your business with us. Carol, Laura, thank you so much for your time and your infinite wisdom in this. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be a part of this with you.
And when will we have the recording available, Bill? It will be posted on our home website, on the homepage at Notary2Pro.com. I assume you guys will have it on your websites.
Well, that's the cool thing, guys. We've rebranded, we've renamed. We are now the Tuesday Notary Titans, and we have our own website. You can go to TuesdayTitans.com.
I forgot.
And you can watch all of the replays. I've got all the other breakfast clubs up, and we'll post this. I am back-to-back. I've got the Legal Shield for Notaries webinar right now, but right after that, I will get it posted to, it just left me, TuesdayTitans.com.
Tuesday Titans.
Just Tuesday Titans? Sorry, Tuesday Titans, not Tuesday Notary Titans.com?
Right, just Tuesday Titans.
Tuesday
Sorry
Titans.
about that. Let me repost that. TuesdayTitans.com.
All right,
put it in the chat real quick. There, now they can have it.
You can watch all the replays there, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye-bye.